Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Cyber Shadow. In the last part, we went through chapters 9 and technically most of chapter 10. This is still technically the end portions of it. And now it's time for us to go finish this. The final section of this chapter is, I think this is still technically chapter 10. This might be considered chapter final here, or chapter end. I forget what they call the final chapter on this. That's chapter 11 technically. Is just a giant test of your airstriking capabilities, being able to bounce from one enemy and target to another on top of moving platforms. If you haven't been doing this a lot throughout the game, it can probably be a little bit tricky. But as you can see, my bigger threat here is accidentally dash striking something in the wrong place and falling back down and losing about 15-20 seconds worth of progress. Thankfully, the glob enemies here respawn infinitely, so you're never really screwed out of a fast way out, barring leaving and re-entering the room, potentially. If anything, this is more so here for atmosphere, because I'm only just now realizing, by and large, that the song here is a slight reprise of the title screen theme, and you know what? That's cool. I like stuff that does that. With that said, I do want to correct something I said at the end of the last part, I believe. That teleporter we started this part at and ended last part at is the last teleporter in the game. There's another checkpoint coming up right before the final boss, but that's just in the case you die to the final boss. If you want to go back to any earlier stage and get any items you missed or something of that ilk, you do have to go backwards in this stage to that particular teleporter, which thankfully you can always go backwards. The only point of no return is the door to the final boss, and even then, it's not like that's a point of no return permanently. You'll just be able to load your save after beating the game, or just dying over and over again to the final boss, or losing power, I guess, and just go back from there. And if you're on a first playthrough and you're somehow near the under 3 hours achievement, I would recommend just going for that at this point, because if you have even like 3/4 the stock we do of health and SP, you're probably gonna be fine. Speaking of SP, buy everything at this checkpoint, because you might as well. You're not going to need essence for anything else moving forward. And having an SP generator for this fight, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Let's go end this. You were never worthy of our clan, our legacy, our true power. The essence pouring from the ethos, it was never yours to wield. We'll be immortal soon, and our master will be fully restored. There's no need for you to fight. It was I who brought Shadow back. How dare you take him away from me again? Nonsense. He's a fake, and I'll prove it. Master, you will come to your senses once he's gone. Round, I guess 2.5 against the Imperator isn't that different from round 1 way back at the start of the game. The main thing he's got now is he's got the Biohunter Sky Lasers that he does after his charges off screen. And those can come from the left to the right, or from both sides at once, and he'll land in the center no matter what. When he lands in the center is when he leaves himself the most open though, so use that opportunity well. Otherwise, he's still got his giant shurikens he'll send across the screen, the ones that he'll jump and throw at you at several different angles, and his dash still has them with him as well. It's by and large the same fight. Imperator, you've outlived your usefulness, so I'll tell you the truth. The process of transferring your master's essence failed. You are clinging to a primitive AI copy, a fake as you would say. An abomination. What the... Dr. Progen, how could that be? She remembers. I knew something felt wrong, but I don't even know what to say. Father, I'm so sorry. This construct is just fragmented data, broken bits of my daughter's memory. That software is nothing like my daughter. Your real master is in stasis here on Mecha Island. She is shielded from time. Once I've made my final breakthrough, I will be able to save her once and for all. Imperator, you betrayed your clan, and now you failed me. Your time is up. Shadow. Soon you shall join the elementals in servitude. With your combined power, I will be unbounded and infinite across reality. Ergo, all possibilities will be open to me. My daughter and I will be together again. Now, notably, I think if you die enough of this fight, Apparator will actually drop some extra health here, because when you die, you do get sent back to the Apparator fight itself. So, the Progenitor here doesn't actually have that many moves. It's got a shield you need to break down to actually attack Dr. Progen, but that just takes a single shot to knock down, and you can just mash into him. The main attacks are the tracking fire that fires projectiles upwards, and he'll fire between 3 and 5 different skull projectiles that home in on you a bit. You can counter basically anything in this fight with the parry, so if you're good about placing yourself, it's not too hard, but it's easy to get overwhelmed there on a first playthrough. Plus, there's wind constantly pulling and pushing you back and forth. Phase 3 is a little different. It's going to start off with a tracking spear attack that you can destroy once it lands, but the main thing you want to attack first are the 3 glowing points, because they contain the 3 elementals he has at the moment, and they'll help you in this fight. The blue will occasionally generate a shield for you, the red will give you a power-up that sends a giant projectile out of your sword even if you aim upwards with it, and the green will generate a platform whenever he does this attack, where he generates spikes that enclose on the center of the arena slowly. The platforms are randomly placed, as are their heights, but they do allow you to get some shots in on Dr. Progen once again. With that said, in the latter half of this fight, he actively shields himself after every hit, so you need to wait a second. I guess that's there to prevent you from airstrike comboing him, like the final boss in Shovel of Hope, I guess, rather, or just dash slashing him over and over again. But honestly, if you get enough SP in the fight, or the red power-up from the red elemental, you can use the Rising Fire to damage him from the ground, no problem. So you can keep yourself out of harm's way kind of reliably in this fight. Also, I'm not sure exactly how the shield dissipates from the blue elemental. I'm not sure if it's like time-based or the amount of hits you take. I think it's probably time-based overall. This fight can be chaotic, and dying here is punishing because you're sent back to before the Apparator fight, but it's doable compared to a lot of Ninja Gaiden-like final bosses, especially in the main Ninja Gaiden games. So, what now do we do? We're kind of on the way to space, apparently, according to that little elevator. Oh, well, I guess this is how we die, then. Try to stay behind me. And we never even got to say thank you. Damn. Freedom of our earthly confinement, we unite to serve our master once more. United, we can bring her mission here to a close. Once we jump in that fire, it's Endgame. Diminished as you may be, together we possess the key to her freedom. Together, we can free her. Your tenacity has done us justice. Our master knew you were destined to join us. Joined, we can end her oblivion. Looks like this is our chance. Let's finally free our master. Your time is limited. Hurry! Alright. Only a few barriers between us now. I'll lose connection if I go any further into this containment field. You've got to see your mission through. Alone now. I did all I could. Essence readings, error, sensor failure. You don't have much time, Shadow. When you finally meet our master again, say hi to her for me, would you? Now, I should note, your health is slowly draining here, but I'm not sure if it can ever kill you outright. It's more noticeable if you're at lower HP or if you did the run to not have any of the HP and SP power-ups. Containment field, 100%. Life support online. Every switch you hit, that containment field gets weaker and weaker by about 25% each. And after that, there's just one more switch to hit. Let's end this. That's Cyber Shadow. I love that ending theme so much. The soundtrack in general is great, but that's probably my favorite song in the game, barring Geothermal Towers. Cyber Shadow is a bit of a complicated game, because on a first run, I think it's super solid. The platforming's all there, the level design's great, the control feels tight enough that you feel like you're in perfect control, and the boss designs are honestly really well thought out in terms of their patterns, even though it's hard to spot them on a first playthrough just because you're absorbing everything. But on a repeat playthrough, this game kind of falls apart in some regards. And I think most of that comes down to the fact of how naked you start off with here. The lack of a New Game Plus mode or anything of that like I brought up last part or 2 parts ago now, I think is the biggest offender there, because there's no way for you to start off with like even just the shuriken or the dash slash or the double jump, which I think on a repeat playthrough could really help this game have some extra lifespan outside of just going for achievements after the first time you beat it. With that said, this game is clearly just so full of passion from the lead dev, and every step feels like in a way they made a game almost just for them. It's like that quote I said last time, it combines so many games they clearly loved, and the effort does show on most facets. The story especially, I had problems with how it was delivered at first, and I still wish there were a couple of other characters and cutscenes you could interact with directly. But the world that's here has enough rules clearly laid out that it leads to an interesting playthrough in that regard as well. And even though I didn't like the flashbacks at first, given that I didn't realize they went in exact reverse chronological order, I grew to really like it on a secondary run beyond, if only because it's an interesting idea and they tell a full story, you just don't realize it until you look back at all of it. I just wish there were a couple of more scenes like them in the game to help flesh out other characters of the world a bit more, like maybe Shadow directly interacting with Dr. Progen a little bit to show his desperation or something like that. In some regards, it feels like this game tries to have its cake and eat it too, I guess. But what works in this game just works so well, I have to really recommend it. If you want to play it, I think it's on all modern hardware, and even then if it's not on like PS5 and Xbox Series X directly, there's definitely a version for their previous consoles. You can probably just download and play on those. It's on Switch, it's on PC. I really, really like this game. The only level design complaint on the whole I really have is that I wish there were more ways the levels interlinked when you were going back through them for stuff, but that's basically just me wanting another The Messenger at the end of the day, too, which is an entirely different goal, I think, than this game's trying to set out to be. In that regard, you could say maybe having as many pickups as it is for a Ninja Gaiden-like was maybe a bad idea, but I think they pull it off pretty well here. And there's your endgame totals. So close to the under 3-hour achievement, damn it. Who was that character, though, and what are they accessing Shadow for? I don't know. Maybe if there's ever a sequel, we'll find out. I'm only just now noticing in that cutscene, as well as the color palettes for it, that that person who's interacting with our body is wearing the exact same color palette of clothing as the clan did during all the cutscenes, so I guess people survived, or at least did some sort of weird, like, team bot, human, Reploid evolution kind of deal. I don't know. Also, if you're wondering why there's as much left in the video as it is, because I want this song to loop at least once in full, because I really like this song. I did the same thing at the end of Plague of Shadows, actually, with the dance sequence. But yeah, I really like this game, and I think you all should check it out. I know it did well enough, because if memory serves, it was like, at least from the Nintendo reports, like top 15 sold indie titles on their store that year, so that's pretty good. But with that, I'm gonna need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, have a great night, and take care, and I'll see you guys next Let's Play, whatever that may be. See you guys then.